If you want news and rumors that appeal, welcome to the Dusty Wheel.
Hey, welcome back to the Dusty Wheel.
If you want news and rumors that appeal, welcome to the Dusty Wheel.
Hey, welcome back to the Dusty Wheel.
Hey, welcome back to the Dusty Wheel. I'm your host, the Innkeeper, and this is our live call and talk show all about the Wheel of Time. Now, before I bring my two guests into the show, they're actually here. They can hear you. I mean, technically, you know what I mean. They can see you. I don't know, whatever the verbiage is. They're here. But I'm not going to bring them into the show just yet because I did want to share a little something that is channel adjacent. This has a lot to do with the fact that this is relating to Taylor. You all remember Taylor, right? You remember Taylor. So I want to show you this. It's a lot of fun because it's something that he got to work on recently. So I don't know if you've all seen this before. So let me set this up. There's a Marvel scene. It doesn't spoil anything, I don't believe. There's a Marvel scene that I'm going to show you here that has something to do with the thing that Taylor recently did. And so we're not going to see much of this Marvel scene, but I just want to remind you of the scene itself. So here you go. Yes, it's good old Captain America hitting that bag. That's right, everybody. So if you remember this scene, then I think you will enjoy something that Taylor has been part of recently. So let me show you that, everybody. And then once we watch that, then we'll get back to the show that you're all here to see. So, but yes, this is a little bit of Taylor magic recently that he got to be a part of and basically direct and edit. But this isn't from Marvel. This is from a company called Dragonsteel. Enjoy.
Have been lying, and it is time for me to admit the truth. I've written 5 extra novels.
There it is, everybody. There's actually an after credit scene.
There is an after credit scene. You'll have to go.
You should go check that out. Let me know if your work has a problem with us showing that.
I will. I'll talk to Brandon.
There might be a policy about it. I have to talk to.
We're all about
operations on that one. So yeah, dude, nice job on that.
Thanks.
If those of you hadn't ever realized that was a called a parody of
I've been calling it like a spoof
of that Captain America video, you should go watch the Captain America one and then watch Taylor's again. It's a lot of fun.
It was a ton of fun.
I love the comment, I think it was Light Blinded Fool, that the keyboard pile gets him every time.
The keyboard pile. It took me a little bit to figure out how to display all of that, but I literally went around everywhere, multiple cities, finding I think it was upwards of 60 or 70 keyboards. So, yeah.
It was good. It was good.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I like this Hybrid Havoc. Look at that elbow work.
I know. We spent a lot of time trying to figure out that elbow work.
Well, that's awesome.
Thanks.
Congratulations. That was fun. Okay. Well, everybody, I know you're like, that isn't what you're here for, right? But that was just fun. That's fun channel adjacent news, everybody. So, but without further ado, you are not here to talk about Marvel or Taylor's wonderful video there. You're here to talk about facts and fiction and the Wheel of Time. And who better to do this with me than two new guests here at the Dusty Wheel. So please help me welcome to the Dusty Wheel, Gary with Encyclopedia WoT and Chris with a Wheel of Time Wiki. How you both doing?
Doing well.
You were waving to your adoring fans, which I think is appropriate. Chris, I saw there's people in here. They are here to see you. So you definitely have a fan club here in chat. So I'm expecting lots of questions from them. I'll be watching, for those of you out there, I'm going to be watching chat to see if you have any questions for our two wonderful guests here. You can check out both of their sites. The links are in the description here, Encyclopedia WoT and Wheel of Time Wiki. Go check them both out. If you haven't, I can't imagine actually anyone here, because you're all geeks, and when it comes to the Wheel of Time, that you haven't seen these sites. In fact, I did a search, Chris, just like the Wheel of Time Wiki, and of course, that shows up. That site shows up first, so that doesn't surprise me at all. Maybe for everyone here that have maybe never visited these sites or don't know who you are, maybe you want to introduce yourselves. Just take a moment. And Gary, I'll start with you. Tell us how you came to be involved in Encyclopedia WoT.
Okay. Let's go back to the 90s.
Yes, let's take it back to the 90s.
Take it back to the 90s.
I'm there with you.
I had finished up the David Eddings series, and I was looking for the next big series, and so I picked up the Wheel of Time. And like everyone else, I would read a book. I had to catch up because there's already like 4 books, already published. So I read them. Next book came out, did the reread, and come back. But it got to a point where it was time to read the next book. I opened it up, and it said, Sulin does this. It's like, Sulin, who's that? There's been so much happening. It's like, wait, she's one of the Aiel, right? And I thought I could just pick up the book and just start reading it again, but it had been so long since the last time that I figured I'd need a reread. And based on that, I realized that I needed more than that. I needed something like a website to help myself, and I figured other people would like to use it as well. So that's how it got started.
That's awesome. Now I know Bob Klutz is also involved. How is Bob involved in the site? Because I've met Bob before, and I was kind of curious how he also is involved.
Well, once I started the website, I got through like 20 chapters of the first book, and I realized that it would take too long for me to do it by myself. I was already behind.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and the books were still coming out. So I started asking for volunteers, and I had like half dozen volunteers do bits and pieces here and there. And finally Bob came along, and once he came on board, he was like a whirlwind. He started doing chapter after chapter. He came up with some nice ideas that I hadn't done for different parts of the organization. We didn't formally have like the chapters divided into points of view, and he did that. So he kept that up all the way through, up to the last book, Memory of Light.
And point of view, and maybe I'm showing everyone Encyclopedia WoT. This is the most recent look and feel of the site. This is not the original. I actually did like a look up on the We Live, like the web archive. I was going to try to show a view of it, and I was like, no, it's good enough to show this as it is. I don't know if you're like me, but I had a website back in the 90s, and I don't necessarily want to take everybody back to that particular design, if you will. But if somebody has never read the books, can they still come to Encyclopedia WoT? In other words, is it just like, is everything kind of encapsulated in each one of these? If I click on the Eye of the World, chapter by chapter, information is revealed, or is it possible I can run into a spoiler even if I click on a book that I'm starting to read?
I've tried hard in this second version here to make it as spoiler-free as possible.
Okay.
So if you can see now there's the list of chapters, and if you go into one of the chapters, you'll see a summary. And what we've tried to do, Bob and I, is pull out the storytelling, which is, of course, the best part of the whole thing, but just have the facts here. And that note's right there. If you press the plus, then you'll expose yourself to any possible spoilers.
Okay, so are there possible spoilers as in future books, or just spoilers for this particular book?
For all the future. So we
Okay.
can't guarantee it. It's
Okay. I won't reveal this right now, just because we're generally staying. I want to say we're going to try to stay like, we're not going to try to ruin the books for you out there. So there will be some spoilers just from questions we might have, or in chat there might be spoilers, but generally speaking, we're not going to be talking plot details to the end of the book if anyone's watching this. We're going to try to keep this one so basically any fans can come in. But yeah, that's a lot of fun. I like that you hid the spoiler aspect to the site. I have a bunch of other questions for you, but let me jump down to you, Chris. A Wheel of Time wiki.
Hello.
How are you involved in a Wheel of Time wiki? Tell us what part what role do you play in a Wheel of Time wiki?
Well, I'll start at the start, just how I got into the Wheel of Time.
Yeah.
So I guess I was 17 at the time. I'm from rural Ireland, so I didn't know anyone that read books, anything. I went into a local bookshop and I quite liked reading, and I saw the cover of The Eye of the World, and I thought, oh, there's 8 of these on the shelf. This will keep me going a while. And we didn't have internet at home at that point. So this was like 1999, 2000 or sometime about that. So I went onto the web and started looking things up. And of course, one of the things I would have found was Gary's website.
Of course.
So the first thing I remember finding was the Usenet FAQ.
Yep.
And then I joined WoTMania, and then at some point in 2000 became an admin for WoTMania. Of course, that folded up, and I had no idea you were an admin for WoTMania. That's so cool. Yeah. And yeah, I was a member of Theoryland as well. This is how.
Do you remember your username on Theoryland?
Oh yeah, well, because my WoTMania username was Morden 2000. That was my.
Shut up! You're Morden 2000.
Yeah, that's me. yeah. I was 18, and Morden was slightly edgy, so and it was the year 2000. So
I feel like this is a reunion. So this is awesome.
Yeah, on Theoryland, it was M2K. Was my Theoryland username. M2K was just the same.
Nice.
So because WoTMania kind of folded up, I kind of wanted to look at something that might be more stable.
Yeah.
And got involved in the wiki probably not for a few years. So I think 2007, I think WoTMania closed. I think about 2009, I was involved in the wiki.
Gotcha.
Contributed for maybe, I guess, 3 or 4 years up until around about the point of Memory of Light. And then came back again about the pandemic time whenever the news of the show. And then I'm administrator for that. I was administrator before as well. But I mean, there's been a lot of people involved in it through the years that kind of come and go because it's a wiki type project.
Yeah.
And I just passed last week 10,000 edits on the site. So
are you serious?
So, yeah.
you personally have made 10,000 edits. Wow.
Yeah. And even saying that, some are small, some are big. But I probably hasn't seen every single page on the website.
Yeah, 6,402 pages.
Yeah.
I think I told you before this, before we began today, I've added one page, I think here, or I just, the page was there and maybe I just added text. It referred to the Dusty Wheel, and I thought there wasn't enough information there. So I made the connection about what the Dusty Wheel was based on. There was information about the Dusty Wheel from the books, and then I added some because I at least have some awareness of what the Dusty Wheel is. So yeah, I have not done any more than that one edit. You're an admin. How many admins are there on the Wheel of Time wiki?
Well, at the moment, there's like mainly just me. The problem is that we don't have a lot of volunteers, even though it's quite easy to join. You really just need an email, and then you log into the Fandom, so the larger organization.
Well, hold on a second. Let me. So, by the way, because I want to ask everybody a question about what you just brought up, and this said we're making a big channel announcement today. By the way, at the end of the show, so stick around to the very end. And you all are guessing 176 of you voted, and most of you guessed that we're revealing a Wheel of Time show interview. Interesting. Okay. You're wrong, but that's an interesting guess. So let me ask this. I'm going to throw this question out to our audience. Have you I'm trying to, what can I put the audience, make them really at ease or not at ease with this question? Would you consider volunteering on either of these sites? That's right. See, it's anonymous. It's an anonymous poll, but we'll see kind of like if you have a group of people here. I mean, Gary, do you take if people kind of volunteer, or is it only like you and Bob doing this, or do you actually accept new volunteers to help out?
We've been rather picky about that. It's been Bob and I, and mostly Bob for this last part.
Okay.
Through Memory of Light, though, I've been working on that myself.
Gotcha.
So
okay. So if people did want to volunteer, do you ever accept any volunteers, or is basically like you're kind of like no, because you've kind of done most of the work you plan to be doing so far? That's
more or less the case.
Gotcha.
There. And because I'm a little jealous of Bob, he had the time to do a lot of his chapters in the books, and so I wanted to do the Memory of Light as my own major contribution to the site.
Yeah. Okay, well that makes sense. I asked this to see 76 people have voted so far. 42% said yes. Okay, so Gary, maybe not through Encyclopedia WoT because they have most of that work done already, but a Wheel of Time wiki. Chris, how do people? It seems like there are a number of people here that would consider volunteering. How would they get involved with the Wheel of Time wiki if it came to helping you out, continue to build this out beyond 6,402 pages?
You just go to the website, and then at the top there'll be like, the usual like login or sign up, and it's easy as that. And all they need is an email to, for verification purposes, and that's all really.
And so they just, if somebody comes in, they just jump on a page, they add a new page, they just go to see what you have.
I mean, it used to be, it was Wikia whenever I first joined.
Yeah.
Now it's not the same people that kind of own the platform, but same as Wikipedia, it's for people to edit in kind of organic way, and sometimes that works really well, and sometimes it's 6 years between edits on pages. So
what's the longest you've gotten? Do you remember seeing? I mean, have you seen things that haven't been edited for 10 or
yeah
10 years?
I've seen ones that haven't been edited for 10 years because we're getting 10 years of the Memory of Light now. So
yeah,
it's easily done.
What do you call yourselves? We were talking about this before. We're trying to come up with a name for those of you that are watching right now, at least in chat. I'm hoping you're going to come up with the name. Because I asked these gentlemen, I said, what should I refer to you as? Are you like archivers? Are you catalogers? I don't know. We came up with data miners. Did you have a favorite name that we came up with, Gary?
I don't know. The term librarian was kind of cool.
Librarian, librarians seemed like the best we could do because historian. Chris, would you consider like what you're doing like historian? Like,
I I guess. I don't know.
I like what
posterity,
Watarian?
yeah.
A Watarian.
Yeah.
I like this
it's-
on us light workers. Yeah, that's true.
yeah.
That's a good way to think about it. Yeah, curators. There we go. I like that one. You're
I used to-
curators of content.
Whenever I met some other Wheel of Time fans, I say, "Oh yeah, I'm an admin at the WoTWiki," and they're kind of, "What, really?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So I used to say, "Yes, I'm a faceless administrator."
Okay,
yeah.
but I like this one. Shanson said, "Lore master." Do you consider yourself, Chris? Like, you've edited 10,000 pages. Do you feel like is that information? Are you retaining it? Or when someone asks you, do they ask you like the name of an inn or whatever, and you're like, are you good at Wheel of Time trivia?
Yeah, I'm good at Wheel of Time trivia, but I don't remember it at all. And part of the reason that I write stuff down is because I can't remember it all.
That right there.
That makes a lot of sense. See, I don't retain like. I'm terrible at Wheel of Time trivia, which actually fans I think actually enjoy seeing happen, because I'll go to something and they'll be like, there's some easy answer that afterwards I remember, like, oh yeah, that was the name of the river, by some town, and they'll be like, but for them, me not knowing the name of that river is almost like just so absurd that it's funny. Yes, I shock everyone with as much information as I talk about. The times when we talk about the Wheel of Time, I just don't retain it the way that I don't have that whole like I saw it once and I remember it thing going on.
Our site's got like 4,000 pages, and any site that's got that much, I forget how much you said you have on yours.
Yeah, there's 6,400 pages on the Wheel of Time wiki here. Yeah.
If anyone can remember all of that information, good on them. But
Right.
I can't.
Yeah, that's good point. I like here we go, chroniclers, word singers. I'm going with. Do you have a favorite one that's come up here? I kind of like lore master. It seems illuminators.
That's a whole different.
Super nerds. There we go. Iris did it. You're just super nerds. Yeah, you guys are major nerds. This is I mean, I know this. I know this about Wheel of Time content when it comes to editing pages. I don't know if you've ever heard me say this before, but I've shared this story with Theoryland when it first began. It was all manual HTML, like manually edited. People would send in replies, and I would code the reply into the page and reload the page. Terrible. Like the amount of time that was involved in doing that is just absurd, obscene, maybe even. For you both, the amount of time you put into this, what do you attribute this to, Gary? Like, other fans love the Wheel of Time. You love it, but you also made a website, and you and Bob have contributed to 4,000 pages of Wheel of Time information. Like, what is the drive?
I don't know. It's just a need to finish this thing, and it's going to be finished at some point, because I figure we got the show, we're adding it to there, and when the show is finished, that may be the last thing we need to add. We'll see. But there's a finite amount of facts that you can draw out of the books there, in my opinion. And the idea is just, I don't see why we would stop, although, Memory of Light took a long time to get to, but we'll keep getting it going until it's finished, just to finish it.
And that makes, I like that you're like, this is a piece of work that you want to finish for. Is it for you? Is it because fans like are asking for it? Or is it just like, this is something that you wanted to create always, and you were going to always take it to the end and finish it no matter what?
No, I was always going to finish it.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense. For you, Chris, what is the drive? I mean, you've 10,000 edits. This isn't something as far as I know, no one's paying you to do this. So like, why, what drives you to do this?
I like making the kind of thing that I wish that I could have found whenever I was like reading the series or just finished reading the series. So like, lists of the Council of Nine or something like this, like some kind of obscure thing that maybe you'd be like, well, you wouldn't retain that information as you went through because it's separated out through the books, but to have it all maybe in one group, like all the sitters, and do like a diagram. And I quite like doing like infographic stuff. So like I mainly put that on like my blog stuff on the wiki rather than the wiki content itself or share on Twitter. But like an infographic with all the flags of, or symbols of the Andorran houses or different things like that I would have liked to have seen. That's what I liked.
Basically, to bring things that you would have wanted to have at the time. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, even when I made Theoryland, and it sounds like you both got involved really early in the 90s, basically, into the Wheel of Time community. So this. There were like hundreds of Wheel of Time websites in the 90s. And it was a lot of that was, you could tell just what people loved most. I liked the theory side. I wanted to kind of collect conversations about ideas so we weren't just all saying the same theory on 30,000 different places. We could like build on theories and such. So that's what I liked about that. Same thing with our Wheel of Time interview database that Theorylanders took part in putting together, was having a singular place where people could go look up quotes from Robert Jordan and fans. So you didn't have to like go to 300 different websites to find a random interview that Robert Jordan did. And yeah, no one paid them for that either, right? It's all this kind of love for their own fandom and also just, appreciation of having a tool that wasn't there before. So I know how much time it takes. I don't need to ask you that. I know how much devotion it takes for continuing to do the things you're doing. So I really appreciate you both and both these tools. I did want to dig into, and I think both of your sites have a different bent towards facts, if you will. So let me start with you, Chris. A Wheel of Time fact. Is a fact important to you, or is it more data about the Wheel of Time that's curated, or is it both, I guess? Like, how does the wiki work that way?
That's a difficult question. So sometimes it requires some clarification. Maybe between the companion and like the books, there's sometimes they are quite clear, and then maybe you can think about it a bit and then present it in such a way that people can agree maybe with your assessment of it. So you don't want to, decide, okay, this is the way it is, but present maybe both sides and say, okay, this says this and this says this, but it makes sense in this context.
Is that where you like to kind of collect, like if the Wheel of Time companion says something a little bit different than the Big White Book says, than the books say, than an interview question from Jordan? Is that part of kind of the love of like, I want to collect those things and present them so people have context? Is that
and part of it is actually I quite like just solving the puzzle. Well, we're talking about ages like just before the show, so I would think of myself more as a white Arja because I'm a maths person and a logic person. I do like a bit of the brown Arja stuff, but for me, sometimes it's a bit of a puzzle. Okay, how can we recreate what was being thought whenever it was written, or what was the intention?
Yeah, it's an interesting, because I think the Wheel of Time wiki is a little bit different than Encyclopedia WoT in that way, Gary. But you correct me if I'm wrong. You're not there to try to collect every single fact in the world about a particular topic. It's more, really giving a reference to where this thing happens and what's happening. Or am I wrong in that? Or are you having discussions basically in a section where it says the Wheel of Time companion says X, and this? Do you have those moments too where you're not like, there's not a clear fact, if you will, about a particular topic?
We don't approach it in that way. I mean, the main thing you start with is the chapter itself. And it's a matter, like I said, of stripping out the storytelling and just presenting the facts as they are as best as possible. And there's always a line, trying to figure out how much is relevant information and how much isn't for each chapter, but that's what we do. And because we do cross-referencing, then if a character is involved in one of these chapters, we have to go to their page and put the corresponding facts over on their side with the things that they were involved in. That's more the thought process that's happening as we process each one of these chapters. The chapter by chapter thing, drawing out what the basic things are, and then spreading them out through all the different references.
If I click on Egwene here, will there be spoilers, or will the spoilers be hidden, basically?
They should be hidden.
Okay, let's click on Egwene here. Gotcha.
So,
okay, so chronology, spoilers. Okay, I see.
Right,
And
now
then each one of these. Okay.
What we've done is at the top you have the physical description and basic information, and it's always very light because everything else is in the chronology and the other references. The chronology section goes book by book, chapter by chapter, telling what they did, and the other references is things that don't affect them. They're not there personally, but someone else is talking about them. So that's what's in that section.
Gotcha. I like that you've even have a little pronunciation up here. Do you, to get the pronunciations, have you tried to go and find like Robert Jordan saying it, or are you typically following the pronunciation from the audiobooks when Michael and Kate are doing them?
I have never done any audiobooks, period. So, and you got to remember, most of these sound bites were done way before that sort of technology was there.
Yep. Yeah.
So it's Bob and I, when you click on it, it's one of our voices, number one.
Oh, is it? Okay.
It is.
Egwene Elvire.
Okay.
Egwene Elvire.
Yeah.
And
that's fun.
We usually use the glossaries to find out the true pronunciation.
Gotcha. That makes sense. I feel like the glossary is a reasonable. It feels like you have to kind of you have to be able to at least say that's the location of where this information is from. I do see like a theories and unanswered questions section off to my left there. So is that something you added? Something Bob added? You just like to kind of keep track of some mysteries, if you will, in that section?
That was pretty much an older page that kept around. There was a certain someone. There was a mystery about who killed the person.
Sure.
And that's discussed a lot on that page.
I've heard of these theories and mysteries before.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because both of you are doing a little bit different. I mean, there's probably obviously some similarities in the data, of course, because from the books, but the kind of where you're going with that information, what you're attempting to do, and how you're attempting to kind of present it to fans is different. So for fans out there, I hope you are both checking out these websites. I saw there was like 130 people voted on that poll. At least 40% or so said they'd be willing to volunteer. So go check out a Wheel of Time Wiki if you are willing to volunteer. Go sign up and I would jump to at least the way I would think about it is like jump to your favorite topic and see what's there. And if you're seeing something missing, jump in. That's how I would do it. Like, is there a best way, Chris, for people to like approach this? Like, how would they help? Is it like, what's the best way? Do you guys have a list where you're like, this is missing information that we don't have?
So I kind of have a thing on my user page of like what kind of things I would like to do. Usually, I can't take on all the projects myself, but like I have a short list if I had a bit more time. But the same with Wikipedia, like it's, things maybe get started and they don't run 100% to completion, but it aggregates over time. Like for example, I did all the different like symbols for Andorran houses and things, but there's other houses that we don't have images for, or different things like that. Like if I have people, like I have no shortage of things that I could suggest. Like just some differences between our two websites is that I think that Gary's one is more structured in terms of the sections and stuff. We have a kind of template that you can see if you look at enough pages, but it's not rigid because there's only the two of them that really have got a process down. And also ours will not be spoiler free. Like ours will always be spoilers, mainly because like to try and roll back that amount of pages it's just it's not feasible. So people that are afraid of spoilers, go to Gary's site. It's fantastic. This was what I grew up with whenever I was a fan.
And I think again, and I would say, like you said, for a full spoiler kind of where you just don't care to like open things up, keep things private. Wheel of Time Wiki is an easy kind of. I mean, I certainly will jump in there. there are times, I'll be honest, where I'll jump in there and be like, I swear Robert Jordan said something a little bit different. So if I ever find a place, if somebody sees something that they think, no, I don't think that that's right, do they just send, is there like a contact form where they can send something into you?
Well, I mean, we've got a Discord, yeah. We've got a Discord. Okay. You can get on my Twitter, and there's suggestions or fact check. There's a fact check channel. So, like, if anybody, normally someone says to me, okay, I found this problem on this page, I'll be like, almost right away, okay, I'll check it, because it's not so difficult to check and fix these things. But it's not difficult for people to do it themselves either.
Yeah, right. So yeah, if you're out there and you see something, you're like, go in and add. If they add and edit, is there a review process that it goes through?
So because I am admin, like bureaucrat type of, that's the role that you get on the wiki thing. That part of that job is to review, whether there's any bad actors. So like between the time that I left round about a memory of flight and the time I joined again, the management was a bit patchy, because the series had finished. People didn't know there's going to be TV show come, so some things got a bit corrupted, I would say. Do
you have a favorite? Do you have a favorite one where you're like, how did that end up in here? Do you remember one where you're just like, no, that's completely wrong?
There was a lot of things where it was like, oh, the companion says this, but this obviously contradicts the books because X and.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It's not quite. It's like, I mean, there are some differences between the companion and the books, but this was more an opinion thing that was added.
Yeah.
It was okay. We assumed that in the books, and then whenever the companion came out, it was clarified. So little things like that. I had to go through the Aes Sedai pages and sort of gradually take all those things out over the last couple of years. Yeah.
That makes sense. By the way, if you do, but this is a live, I know Village Mattress. I don't know if Village Mattress is here, but Village Mattress always reminds me that this is a live call and talk show, everybody. So if you have a question that I have not asked yet about the Wheel of Time for these two wonderful individuals, please do give us a call. I'm sure they would love to hear from you and get a question in. We're going to be chatting for probably another 20 to 30 minutes. And I'm going to let my two wonderful guests go in about 30 minutes. And then I have one more individual joining us for the last 10 or 15 minutes that I hope you stick around for. But please do give that number a call. It's 1-313-825-5968 or 1313-TALK-WoT. No, we're not in Detroit. It just happened to be that 313 had available TALK-WoT. So we grabbed that number. But yes, do give us a call. And if you have any questions about the process, if you just want to tell these wonderful gentlemen, thank you for all the time that they've put into this, what they're doing as ridiculous league super nerds that like to just spend their time putting words on the internet so other geeks can see them. Gary, for you, is there a process where somebody sees something and there's a form they submit, or they just write you on the internet somewhere if they say they fact check you and they're like, no, this is wrong?
Yes, I'm on the front page of our site. We got links to our various social media accounts, so you can post to us there. You can send us an email. We're very open to making sure we get something correct. And as a matter of fact, just this last week, I had someone say, "You've got this spoiler with one of the Forsaken, and you should fix this so it's not such a spoiler." And I appreciate that thing, and so I'm going to work on this next week to get it done.
Yeah.
So we're definitely taking that, and I'll add that page that you had for Egwene. You may have noticed that the artwork was rather dated. We're not quite ready yet for it, but we would like to update the site with new artwork. So
cool.
We'd be looking for that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I one thing I've always noticed about the Wheel of Time is we don't have a lot of location specific art. You will get some. You can go find some that like artists out there have posted. I've seen one about Shadow Logoth that was really cool. You just don't see a lot of drawings of like Tyr and Camelin. You see a couple, but it's been one of the art is where I think there's still a ton of space out there. A lot's been written. There have been a lot of theories about the Wheel of Time, but art feels like still an undiscovered territory for Wheel of Time fans to really take their imagination and bring to life some of these places and people. I can never get enough Wheel of Time art. So if you're out there, make a website or something that catalogs all the Wheel of Time art, or just go mention it on one of these locations. Do you have favorite sources of? I know Chris, you've already said Gary. You think Encyclopedia WoT is an amazing resource or a source of information for fans. Do either of you have other kind of like locations where you like to go read about the Wheel of Time, where other fans have created resources? Gary, do you have something? No, you go ahead, Gary.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I honestly haven't had a lot of time to go around and search a lot of places. There's, once Bob started taking over, he kind of did it because I was busy in my personal life with a lot of things.
Gotcha.
And it's not until news about the show came out, I was like, oh, darn, gotta get going again.
Gotta finish this up, yeah.
Right. And that's when I started discovering that in my absence from, I was on Twitter, for example, but looking at different things. And now all of a sudden I find out, oh, look, there's a whole bunch of Wheel of Time stuff on Twitter and other places. I don't have time to look at all. I'd really love to, but not right now.
Okay. Chris, is there anywhere else that you would say that for you that you're like, oh, I really like the work that this fan has done when it comes to collecting Wheel of Time information?
Well, definitely 13th Depository and the interview
another
database.
Of course, another WoTmania member.
Yeah. So
you should give Linda the love out there. 13th Depository. That's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And like if I want to do a sanity check on things, like I kind of check, okay, what's there and what have I got, and be like, okay, or because especially if you're trying to resolve two things that maybe it's ambiguous or whatever, to see how that sorts out, see what somebody else has written about it. And because she originally got stuff from Robert Jordan's notes really before it appeared elsewhere, or as far as I know, that was kind of useful. I love the database, interview database, because some things that aren't in the books that Robert Jordan clarified still haven't made it. Like a lot of fans don't know about it because it's outside of the books. Obviously, people don't. Maybe like in 2003 or whatever, peak Winter's Heart, like crosses the twilight time, where people were reading off the interviews that came out. They were well known, but 20 years on, not so well known, some of the facts.
Yeah, it is interesting because I will go on Facebook. I think it's so funny. Someone will ask a question that I know there's an answer on Facebook. They'll be like, I'm trying to think if this is too much of a spoilery question. I'll do it this way so it doesn't spoil much. Is this person this other person? They'll ask. And if for those of you that are aware of this question, it's this younger person. Is this younger person maybe this older person? And it's funny now because there are old fans. I call them old fans because they know about the database. And I don't have to do it anymore. I just watch it. Like 5 other people. Excuse me. 5 other people will like get the link and post the answer from Robert Jordan from the database, and I'm like, thank you that somebody posted an answer from the database. So I think you're right. There's a lot of people that are kind of unaware of it that are just coming into the Wheel of Time now and don't realize that like Robert Jordan said a lot of stuff, and there's some really fun answers in there. So, but yeah, 13th Depository, everybody. If you've never been at 13th Depository, Linda's site is fantastic. We have 3 callers here to ask you questions. So let's bring our first caller into the show. Hey, welcome to the Dusty Wheel. Who's this?
Great Innkeeper. As always, I raise my glass to you, sir.
Norm, cheers, man.
To our guests, I raise my glass. I have a suggestion for a name for you guys.
Okay.
I was thinking of keepers of the pattern.
Keepers of the pattern. Okay, keepers of the pattern. I like it. That's a good name. What do you think? Is this acceptable, Chris? A keeper of the pattern.
Yeah, I just once he said that, I thought, wait, I didn't say Keeper of the Chronicles, that
Yeah,
really,
sure.
I don't know why we didn't think of that. But
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there you go. You're like directly from it. I like it.
yeah.
Okay, and Norm, did you visit Encyclopedia WoT back in the day?
Actually, no, I didn't even know it existed. The first website I actually went to was Dragon Mount. That was my first introduction to the fandom.
That's okay.
Time.
That's okay. No, I'm just kidding. No, Dragon Ball is great. No, well, now you do know, and so you got to check it out. Have you ever used the Wheel of Time wiki?
I think I've used it a couple of times looking for some stuff. I think I did. But one of my questions for you guys were, do you guys have all of the random song lyrics that were being, like the ideal songs when they're walking or marching into battle, or Jack of the Shadows, or any of the other ditties like Tom's stories or anything like that in your wiki?
No, I don't. But that's an interesting idea. And collect those on a page. That would be cool, I think.
Yeah, I can name drop a few people here. So we do have it, and at Mulcahy Con we had it's a British show, like never mind the Buzzcocks, but I can't remember what it was called, but it was James. I don't know, you had James on at one point on the Dusty Wheel. He does the Third Age game.
Okay, yeah.
So he ran that quiz, and it was quizzing us about things from the songs of Wheel of Time. It was so difficult. Like he said, "Oh, Chris, you should know these. These are the pages that you've got." And I'm like, yeah, but I don't remember the words.
There you go. So it is out there. Norm, thank you, man. As I saw this, Goat Brother just said this. This is now truly a Dusty Wheel show. All hail Norm. So much love from chat, man. It's awesome to hear your voice. Thank you so much for being our first caller tonight, and you have a wonderful evening. Okay.
I will. And hey, Taylor, that was an awesome vid, man. So keep it up, buddy.
Yeah, seriously. Nice job, Taylor. See you, Norm. Much love, man. See ya. Bye.
Take care.
Norm is a regular around here. We used to all scream Norm from Cheers, the old show Cheers, when Norm would call. Now we're a little bit more subdued. We're just older and tired, and we're like, Norm, good to see you, man. So, Norm, you're amazing. Thank you very much. Is there something for you, Gary, that like a Wheel of Time fact where you were going back and cataloging something in Encyclopedia WoT, and you were like, this surprises me. I didn't even remember this thing. That wouldn't be too spoilery, I guess. Or if it's going to be spoilery, we can just tell everyone to look away for a second, or and then come back.
I don't have something like that, but I will say every once in a while I'll go through and look up a particular scene that was super interesting to me, and reread what we had in there or something like that. There's places where there is huge character development, like a moment, and as an example, those I like to do.
Yeah.
So not unknown hints or anything like that, but things I know about, and I'd like to revisit every once in a while.
There's a lot of stuff for me that, like in the big white book that talks about the Second Age. Those are the things where I go, oh yeah, I totally forgot that this really cool thing. Like sometimes I forget about the Chora trees. You start reading and you're like, oh, I didn't retain that particular piece of information, but it's a really, really cool fact about the world. For you, Chris, is there anything that you think back and you're like, that you run into either because somebody adds it because they're editing a page and you're having to review it and you're like, wait a second, that can't be true, and you look it up and you're like, oh, I guess it is. Something that surprised you? If it's a spoiler, I can just put up a banner up if there's something that you want me to mention.
I can't think of anything specific. Mainly like things from the companion where I read it, and then it's like back notes of Jordan's, like backstories where he has some characters that just don't appear in the books, and they have these backstories.
Yeah. You're like,
So there's a good one. So I've been trying to do on Twitter, a fact every day, something that is fairly maybe obscure that people don't know. Like I quite like there's a whole like biography of this Amerlin from like 100 years ago. I don't even want to say. I can't because I don't know how the name is pronounced. Cyril Bagans. Yes, this one that was the fearsome Mistress of Novice. So it's not really a spoiler because it's not in the books per se.
Yeah.
But she was Mistress of Novice for 107 years. Which
and you were like Mistress of Novice for 107 years.
Yeah. So that's quite a cool fact.
That is a cool fact. Well, see, that's the stuff you probably see much more often than most of us because, again, people are submitting changes and or you're looking to add some interesting things. So I would love like if someone out there put together like a free book, like if they just like created like an ebook that was free that just had like cool facts from the Wheel of Time you don't know. And that would be one of them. It's like this person was a Mistress of Novice for 107 years. Like, yeah, I would never have remembered that. So
like you could have a Trivial Pursuit but with 7 wedges for the wedges.
Someone has to do that. Oh my gosh, I can't believe we don't have a Trivial Pursuit with a wheel. That's terrible.
Amazon, are you listening?
Totally. By the way, Miss Sarah James asks, is this the actual new studio or is it green screen still? Green screen, I think. No, it's not green screen, but this is not the new studio. This is just, I was sitting in front of a gray wall in the new room for the studio, and I just hated the look of the gray wall. So I told Taylor, let's bring the old stuff back in and let's set something up that can be another temporary space. So yes, as Anna said, this is a temporary space, no green screen. So this is going to be a little bit of a potential spoiler. So I'm going to post this, but I just saw it. Thank you very much for like a little super chat from Martin. So for those of you that don't want anything spoiled at all from the books and you're totally new readers and have never heard of the Dark One or the Dark One's plans, look away now and I'll take this banner off. But Martin said, I have a little hypothesis that the Dark One cannot actually win by the pattern or some other invisible means. Why? As Shamael's math is completely sound, the Dark One should have won already, actually, but evidently has not. Yes, this is something that, by the way, that Nablus ascribes to. I don't ascribe to that, but I can't remember exactly why. So, but we're not doing a theory show right now, but I appreciate that, Martin. Thank you very much for the tip, but that's awesome. And I have 2 more callers here, so let's bring our next caller. They've been waiting on here for a good 10 plus minutes, so let's see what they have to say. Hey, welcome to the Dusty Wheel. Who's this?
It's Andrew.
Andrew, what's up, man?
Not much. Congratulations on your new semi-new studio. I had a question for both the guests. How difficult was it to enter the historical characters information? Like, the ones the ones that will be subheaded under historical characters before you got the WoT companion.
Yeah, go ahead, Gary, if you have an answer for that.
Well, I'll tell you, this one thing that Bob and I talked about a long time ago was that we were going to leave the WoT companion out of our site. So if people wanted to look things up on it, they could do that separately, but we weren't going to include that on our site. However, recently I've been thinking about it, and with the new book out, and with that, maybe it's time to put it back in.
Okay, that's cool. How about you, Chris? What's your answer to this one?
I think both our sites have like a category that is historical characters, so it's really a matter of either adding to a piece that's already there or just creating a new one. So it's not so difficult really, because there's not a lot of information on the historical characters. There's some exceptions, like the one I said, that really Jordan just went to town on his backstory for that person that doesn't appear in it, but for the most part it's just this is a name and this was a person that lived in this city or such and such. And I think at least the Amerlins, they were already in the the World of Robert Jones' Wheel of Time, a big white book. So they were just additions to that, really.
Yeah, I was more referring to like the process of how did you pull out those historical characters from the actual books themselves. Like we all remember like Tom's story about Glenn and the body of the eagle and stuff like that, which is supposed to be John Glenn. But these historical characters that they have from whether it was in the time of the Trolloc Wars, or you might get one mention of a character in the book. What I'm saying was, how difficult was it to go through and come across these and back in the day when you were able to entering in the first time? That was my question.
You mean like more so like if you don't even to find the different entries that you want to make, or to
I mean just when to come across and say, because when I last looked at for example from WoT Encyclopedia, there's a pretty hefty thorough examine, a bunch of different historical characters, even if they have one line, how long and how much of a task was it to cull through the books to find those those particular references?
Yeah, that's a good question. Like as far as like, how do you use other tools like the because you didn't have the Wheel of Time companion before, like would you just be reading and think to yourself, oh, I want to reference this person, or would you go look up a list from some other website that lists out all the characters, or how did you come up with, at least from a topic standpoint? Obviously, Gary, you're just going chapter by chapter and referencing what happens there, but if there's just a reference to like a historical character, like how did you find it before, and how did you decide what you do with it?
There's a bunch of characters that are referenced in the manner that he was talking about that are only mentioned one time, and they've done nothing else in the books except being mentioned. And we have one page that lists all of them out. That was our solution for it. For the actual historical characters who had some event that they were a part of, a little bit more information, they have their own page, even if it only contains that one event.
Gotcha. Yeah, and Chris, I don't know if you want to add anything to that, like topic-wise, how you would go about it. You just go find them, or is it, like you said, you have a list of things you want people to work on right now?
Yeah, I don't know. I think because there was a group of people involved over the years that I'm trying to remember if I did go through the process. Normally, like the lesser mentioned ones can be somewhat easier because it stands out that they're kind of special. You're like, okay, this is, a passing reference to such and such, so I'll check. To check that that's a minor thing that might not have been mentioned. Like for the bigger characters, there's probably lots of little facts about the bigger characters that are easy to miss because, they have a whole page. Do you understand what I mean? Like the more obscure they are, it's like, okay, this might be missed. Let's check if it's there or not. Yeah. So generally they get caught because they're obscure facts that you think, okay, somebody wants to put this in. And then what if they are missing, like I have different, PDFs and things of the books and all the materials that I can check through the references and just check, have we got every mention? So that would be my process.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. Hey, Andrew, thank you very much, man. Have you, when was the first time you visited a Wheel of Time website?
Probably when I was in college in the mid-90s, probably the old the Usernet one and the Wheel of Time FAQ.
Man, it's so funny to hear like people talk about WoTFAQ, Usenet, and the '90s still. I love it.
And the other one I visited a lot back in the day was the one with the timeline. I think it was Stephen Cooper's. I want to say. I don't know if that name is right, but I found that at the time amazing when they had all the timelines. They used that all the time.
Yeah, there was a lot of sites that eventually just went defunct that had really cool information on them. Yeah. There's the Miss Sarah James said my first WoT site was Wheel of Time Mud. Yeah, there was one called Silk Lantern that I really thought was really cool. Yeah. Anyways, well, thank you, Andrew, very much, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Yep, thanks.
Have a good one. Yep. Bye bye.
Yep. Have a good one. Bye.
Yeah, great caller. one more caller so far. Let's bring them in. We can take probably, if there's anyone out there planning a call, we can take one other caller after this. So, but again, 1-313-825-5968. I'm going to take that down, but you can still give a call. We'll bring another caller in. But I'll bring our last caller for now into the show. Hey, welcome to the Dusty Wheel. Who's this?
Hey, this is Jackie.
Jackie, welcome to. I should say, I was just saying, welcome to the Dusty Wheel. How you doing?
Doing good. I wanted to thank Chris and Wheel of Time Wiki for being my first interaction with the Wheel of Time. Like, I was in high school before 2012, and there was talking about this book series, and I was basically told that by my dad that there's stupid fantasy series going around. It was like the Lord of the Rings, but the hero got a harem, and I definitely should not read it. So naturally, I went online and found WoTWiki, looked into it, decided it wasn't interesting because I like Twilight and Nickelback, so I just had bad taste as a teenager. But it was a very, I still remember visiting WoTWiki all those years ago, and wanted to thank Chris for that.
There you go, Chris.
For my part of it, I will say thank you. The other people involved, they would give their thanks as well if they were here. For me, it was the what fact, that's what I found first, and was looking up the spoilers, just straight off the bat, book 4.
Yeah, that's the I think the WoTFAQ. What I loved was when Jordan said the WoTFAQ was like a third correct, a third basically kind of correct, and a third completely wrong kind of thing, whatever it was, something like that, which is it doesn't matter if Jordan was just messing with us. The fact that he would give us that just drove every Wheel of Time fan nuts, because it was like everyone knew that you look at the entire WoTFAQ and you're like, he didn't tell you what was right or wrong, and that just meant like hundreds and thousands of hours of more searching and theorizing. So I love that. Well, Jackie, thank you so much for calling and sharing this with Chris. I love that your dad told you that it was the Lord of the Rings analog, except the main character had a harem, and that you, for that reason, looked it up, and then you were too into Twilight and Nickelback to care about the time at that time. So I'm assuming you've read the entire series since then. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I've read a bit. Yes, I've finished. Yeah.
Okay, good. I wasn't sure if we were. I didn't want to spoil anything if you hadn't gotten all the way through yet. So, well, thank you very much for calling and letting Chris know that. I really appreciate that. And again, welcome to the Dusty Wheel, and have a good evening. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Bye bye. That's an awesome story. Thank you, Jackie, for sharing it with us. Yeah, it's so interesting because none of my family were like reading fantasy. Like, I was basically just like, I think I was a closet book fan, like I liked books, but no one in my neighborhood knew about that. Like, and I would literally like read late into the evenings and then go to the library alone and look up books. It's weird because my kids, like, they've always known about the Wheel of Time, and some of them have read portions of. I guess everyone has read a portion. I think Taylor hasn't. Well, as far as I know, He's really cagey about what he has read or hasn't. He won't really admit or not. But yes, all of my family now have read a portion of the Wheel of Time, but I don't think anyone's gotten past the Dragon Reborn. I think that's been the that's the wall, the Dragon wall, if you will, for fandom in my family. So thank you very much for everyone that did give a call here. We have a couple more minutes left. I did want to ask you this, with the TV show, obviously, is like new facts, right? They've changed things, and some things have stayed the same. So I was kind of curious how you've both addressed this with your websites. If fans, can they find information about the TV show, and how have you split that out? Are they completely different things? Are you just including them in the reference to the character? You have like a section about the TV show. Maybe jump to you, Chris, first. Like, how have you handled the TV show facts, if you will, versus fiction when it comes to the Wheel of Time wiki?
So it's a similar situation from whenever like A Song of Ice and Fire, Game of Thrones, where you kind of have a choice whether to integrate it into one wiki or to have two separate ones. So we have two separate ones, I believe, like for Game of Thrones and The Song of Ice and Fire, they have two separate ones. We keep the artwork separate, so things that are kind of artwork that are more related to the show go on the show wiki. And Kylara is in the chat, I can see her, so she's one of the admins for the show wiki.
Oh, nice.
And also our kind of like technical help for Fandom as well, that if I need coding help, I go ask her.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's how we do it. We don't have anything to do with the show whatsoever. We do have, I think, like the last line maybe where it says, you know, such and such character is played by, you know, this person in the show, and that's about the limit of what we have in the show. And the show wiki deals with more like the difference between the books and.
Gotcha. Okay, so it does kind of reference that, like you do reference the differences that. Okay, so if somebody wants information, it is split, which seems to make a lot of sense to split those things out, because it's like, again, yeah, it's an adaptation, and there are enough changes that you wouldn't. It'd be hard to kind of maybe try to capture that, have people go to the book side and then try to capture that information or what's different in the TV show. For you, Gary, how have you determined to handle the actual TV show as far as cataloging any facts from fiction, if you will?
Yeah, well, first off, we integrated it into our website. And the way I did it is each episode is pretty much corresponding to a chapter in a book. We did it that way. We have a separate set of characters that are the TV characters. And on their pages, it references the book character and also references their IMDb link if they have one. And beyond that, we've got a couple of geography things that have changed, and so we've included those. But in general, beyond that, they haven't touched on a lot of other things.
Yeah.
And it's been kind of vague or just not there, so I haven't had to worry about it yet. But if you go on the main page, down at the bottom, there's a big Amazon logo. You click on that, and you can get to season 1 summaries.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. So that makes sense just from a cataloging data about the Wheel of Time. I was kind of curious how you were handling that. So, well, I just want to say again, I know the sacrifice of time. I laugh sometimes about the sacrifice of time because that's all you can do. Like I look back and I'm like, what could I do with 10,000 hours of time? You know, whatever. I don't know what the number is. I haven't ever tried to catalog how much time it was, but you know, like. But again, this was always kind of part of who I was. You know, I've loved this series for so long, and so there wasn't any like eventuality where I'm sure there's some mirror world out there where I did something else with that time, but it would be like a very unlikely, you know, like hazy mirror world that you'd visit, because the likely outcome for probably all of us was going to be being ridiculous fans and putting this time and effort in. But I do know how much fans care and appreciate this. I'm sure you've both heard from fans just how much they appreciate the time and that you've put into a resource for them, because most people don't want to go do what you've done. But there were a ton of people here. I mean, that's at 120 people, 40%. Like, you got at least 50 people here that would be willing to volunteer. So if you're willing to volunteer, go check out a Wheel of Time wiki. And look for ways where you can help add to those 6,402 pages, and you know, you can end up doing some legwork that Chris would love to have, but just doesn't have the time to do it. So please do check that out, or go make your own resource. Honestly, that's a lot of fun. Whatever it is your version, you want to go out and actually create something for fans that you're interested in. Again, I always loved theories, and that's why Theoryland came about. And each fan has loved the Wheel of Time a little bit differently, and that's why all these resources exist. So there's still time to go make your own. There's a lot of data. There's a lot of interesting ways to present the Wheel of Time information to new fans out there that are finding the books. And I know that a lot of new fans are finding the books. There's this chat is full of people that have not. I mean, I asked this poll, 120 of you voted, did you visit a Wheel of Time website in the 90s? 62% said no. And 3% of you said, I wasn't born until after the 90s. So if that makes you feel... So hopefully that makes you feel good. It makes me feel... It's crazy to think, right? Like my Wheel of Time website's older than my children. And I have a 22-year-old child. So it's weird to think how long this has been going on. The fact that you both... were there in the 90s and saw those things and were part of communities and even my own community. So a little reunion here, Chris. I appreciate that. So thank you both for all the work you've been doing, and thank you for coming here on the show. There's links to both of these websites. Please go check them out. Encyclopedia WoT and a Wheel of Time Wiki, everybody. Continue to use those resources, and make sure to leave a note for both these gentlemen, either in the comments of this video or send them a note privately through their websites or through their social media and let them know how much you appreciate what they've done. I know how much that kind of drove me to continue doing the things I've done, so I know how much that is actually appreciated. So thank you both. Any final thoughts from you? Anything you wanted to leave before I let you go?
I did think of this one fun little fact of how the website has changed over the years. We were developing the website while the books were being written, and the pages were written with that. So, for example, there's a secret society, and how many people do we know are in the secret society? We kept track of that. But now, that whole thing is past, and part of what I did on my rewrite is start to turn this into a site that's more geared to presenting how the story has been now that it's finished, instead of how it is in progress.
Yeah, it's weird how that's changed. I think I would go and approach Theoryland. I someday need to just do a whole revamp of Theoryland and change it from an evolving theories to kind of like, this is a catalog of all of those theories and present it a little bit different. I think I would. Chris, any final thoughts before we let you go?
One great thing for me about the fandom is that, like you're saying, that so long ago, that we're having like another generation. Really, we're having the people that are the same age that we were then.
Yeah.
Now they're reading it, and like the fact that it's like stood the test of time. There's a lot of series that were out in the 90s that really don't get that kind of love.
Yeah.
We get some folks that are probably on the younger end coming onto the Discord, and they're very excitable, and they say, "Oh, this thing," and then you're like the old man going, "Oh yes, there's this thing that Robert Jordan said in 2003 or whatever," and then I go and look up the quote from Fairyland and then paste it into the chat, and they're like, "Oh yes, that's quite interesting." So
it is
that's what I like,
Yeah,
the second generation,
and then eventually the third generation. Like, there's going to be, 20, 30 years from now, we'll be. I'll be like, it's so funny. I love it. I love quoting those things because it'll be like, they're at the AOL top, chat room chat in 1998 or whatever. There's some like random name, or like the CompuServe hero chat interview with Robert Jordan in like 1997. There's always like these funny names that people are like, what is CompuServe? Like they're like, I guess maybe some people still know what AOL is, but there's always some random like reference that just makes me laugh. Like, well, so I agree with. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say Usenet. That
yeah, exactly.
A real enigma. Yeah. Rasford, whatever.
However you pronounce it. I always used to hate it because I couldn't come up with a good pronunciation for it. But it's like, it's the Rasford. I agree with Mr. Stovey. Y'all are such nerds. That is the truth. And Chancellor Theoryland National Historic Site. What's really funny about that comment is because of this book, right? Like you've Origins of Wheel of Time by Livingston. He references frickin' Theoryland, and I was like, I have to keep this. Now I'd feel terrible. Like, he has links to like Theoryland in a reference book, and I'm like, if Theoryland ever didn't exist, those links wouldn't work for people. So now I like told my wife and a good friend, I was like, I'm gonna have to like somehow have like, what do you call it? Like plans if we want to die, like transfer the site to like some like fund that just keeps the site running in perpetuity. I don't know. It started making me think like long-term, like how am I going to keep this information around for fans 100 years from now? So anyway, fun stuff that we get to think about cataloging the Wheel of Time for other generations. So, well, thank you both for being here. I have to let you both go. It's a non-traditional ending because I have someone else coming on here. So, but thank you again, and look forward to seeing you both in the future.
Yeah,
have a good one. Okay.
us.
Yeah, you too. Have a good one. See you soon. Bye-bye. So, everyone, I hope you enjoyed that. Don't go anywhere just yet. We have one more guest coming on. I told you there's going to be a big channel announcement. And you were wrong if you thought that it related to what I said. What was your answer now? A Wheel of Time interview, show interview or something. In fact, none of those answers I proposed were the right, other than the none of the above. So actually, it's funny. I don't even know if our guest is actually here. I should probably ask this person once they've come on, because Taylor's not in the room, so I don't know if someone's joined us in Zoom. So I will. I'll make sure that they know to let me know when they're here. I guess they could just start speaking. So while we wait for this individual to join us, I wanted to kind of maybe give you a little bit of a hint. Should I give you a hint? That's a great question. Maybe I won't. I'm not going to give you a hint. I'll just wait for this person to join us here. But thank you for those that actually gave us a call tonight. Maybe instead of giving you a hint, though, I want to give you a little bit of a background. And then it sounds like our guest is here, so I'll bring our guest on here shortly. We started doing this show in 2019. I think it's been like 3.5 years ago. 3.5 years now that we've been doing this. And we've always like looked for ways to kind of reinvent what we're doing, change what we're doing. We've had like 7 temporary web sets behind us, and we've changed things from the very beginning. So what's about to happen for the channel is a little bit of a change. I don't want to tell you, it's not like I'm going anywhere, but I am introducing something new to the Dusty Wheel. So with that being said, there's a really funny story going this, but let me welcome to the Dusty Wheel Innkeeper on us. How are you doing here, my fellow Innkeeper?
Hey, Matt, it's good to join you at the end.
Well, welcome. So, everyone, I want to introduce you to Innkeeper on us. In this time, at least, you have to be happy that you knew about this change before it happened, right?
I mean, I think the knowing in advance definitely helps. But I think the fact that I'm not the mod who's not a mod.
You're an Innkeeper that was not a mod now.
Yes, exactly.
so let me explain to everyone what's happening here. Anas is going to be another Innkeeper at the Dusty Wheel. Is another Innkeeper, and will be doing at least one show here on the Dusty Wheel every month. In fact, next week is your first show as a second host here at the Dusty Wheel show. How are you feeling about this? Do you want to tell people what's coming?
Knowing me, people should know I don't like to tease stuff. So I'm still working on a couple of things. So I want to put it out when it's kind of ready. But no, I'm excited. First of all, thank you, for giving me this opportunity. I mean, I think you reached out to me now. I feel like it's been a while. And
there's some weeks. You've had some weeks to.
Yeah, and I've had time to kind of think of what I wanted to do as my first show. So I think I'll put on some stuff on social media soon. But yeah, the Dusty Wheel, a new beginning. Yeah, I think it'll be fun next week.
Yeah, I'm excited about this. It's something I think I thought about doing for a long time. I just didn't know how to do it. And then people started like putting together backgrounds of like, oh, the inn, it actually looks like the inn. Like you can see your background. Oh, that's funny. I didn't realize that we have the Wheel of Time in the. I didn't really recognize that we both had the juniper covers. So, anyways, yeah, I'm like looking at your set, and it's like I wanted people to still. There's a certain kind of like Dusty Wheel vibe I wanted, and I was like, you know what? I wonder if Anas would be like excited about actually doing a Dusty Wheel show. Not necessarily from the multiverse of the Steve Keeper, if you will. So, and to me, this is a way for the Dusty Wheel to continue kind of growing. I have no plans right now. We're the only 2 innkeepers at the Dusty Wheel at this point, but who knows? Maybe in the future there'll be more. But this is an exciting kind of change for Taylor and I. We see this as a really exciting evolution of what we're doing, which is really giving other fans the ability to kind of bring some of the magic of the Dusty Wheel that we think the Dusty Wheel community and show to them. And so I'm excited about this, man. So you can count on every 4th Wednesday basically is when Anas will be hosting a Dusty Wheel show, and when we actually have news that sometime might come out in the future. There will be some shows that you'll be able to host too. So that's gonna be really fun to be able to cover kind of breaking news, trailer releases. We're gonna try some fun stuff here, everybody. In the spirit of Anas and how he likes to handle secrets, I'll stop there. We're gonna try some fun stuff. I won't say anything else. Is that good?
Yeah. No, I like this. I like this. This comment by Gwendolyn Sedai, where it's like, "Will I provide the same low quality polls?" Yeah, I think we'll keep we'll keep the standard up. With all the polls.
That's good.
But there will be certain things that will be good surprises. In things that I think our mods will like. So again, I'm not gonna give stuff away, but yeah, I think I think it'll be.
Will Anas have Matt as a guest? Anas Gaidon. Anas Gaidon.
Right.
I love these comments. These are amazing. I like Illuminatrix said, Illuminatrix Boom Dim said, whatever happened to that shy, quiet guy who used to call into the show all the time? Oh, he's an innkeeper now. I love how we're all evolving together. That's right. That's right. Change.
Wow. I'm trying to think back. Yeah, it's over a year ago now. Yeah. Wow. It's been a journey, and I think when you think of these things and how things change, it's crazy to even think that something like this I would do. So now it's like, yeah, of course. Like, why wouldn't I do something like this? Yeah.
Yeah. It's exciting. Like Shantae said, we could always use more news and rumors that appeal. So yes, I love it. I love it. This is gonna be a lot of fun.
People are asking about mugs and all these things. Hey, all will be revealed. I think you'll be not disappointed with how the Dusty Wheel airs on Wednesday nights that I'm on. So yeah, I think the Dusty Wheel will continue to
will Anas be hosting a live call and talk show? Yes, Village Matches. Anas will be that's the idea. That is the idea that all innkeepers of the Dusty Wheel can host live call and talk shows. Yes.
So now Taylor Gaidon can go 24 hours.
Okay, hold on. Let's ask that question. This is a poll here. Should Trailer Gaidon go 24 hours? What are the options here? Yes, no. Let's see. What are the options?
We'll find out in August.
August.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. There. You just proved your chops as an innkeeper. Yes, no, or August. I love it. This is exactly. Wild Gardenia, maybe Matt will get actual bio breaks during Trailer Gaidon too.
Yes,
I agree, Tamlos Cat. This is great. And Arosa, watch and find out. Yes.
Yeah.
And Hybrid Havoc, all will be revealed in 10 years.
Yeah.
Yes, and if you want, I love. Look, you can go into chat and see this, but Bane and Chiad, I won't say that. I mean, definitely Bane and Chiad is a Innkeeper on us shill. You know, but yes, if you want to see the Dusty Steve show, you can get your first taste at the Innkeeper chops coming to you. I love it. Me, my skirt, and I voted August because I remember. Thank you.
I voted August because I'll never forget. You know? Yeah.
I love it. About 100 of you voted should Trailer Guide on go 24 hours. What I love about this poll is the 11% that said no. I can't tell. I'm not going to take that totally personally. I'm going to say that's for our health. You voted no because it's not healthy to have 24 hours.
Not,
right?
Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
You didn't vote no because you're like, oh, hell no, don't. But I love the 34% of you that voted August too. So does Matt at least have a better chair now? No. This is not. I'm actually in a worse chair at this point. This is not a 12-hour chair that I'm in. This is definitely like a 3 to 4 hour. Your legs are falling asleep.
It's like I can't do 4 weeks, 4 shows in a month on this chair. So
exactly,
like,
I have to break that down. Christopher Cottingham said I voted no because I can't bear to miss anything. I love it. Yeah, that's reasonable. I do want to say there is a practical change too for me, which is until we really get back into the show itself, where there's the show news happening, I'll be looking for. I know normally I was like going back, and you and I have talked about this. Like we were sometimes doing 8, 10. I can't remember the month. There's probably like a 12 show month out there that we've done, but part of this is I'd like to find topics that I'm really, really, really excited about. So instead of filling like 8 shows of like interesting stuff, for my shows, I really want to go look for some Wheel of Time stuff I really, really care to talk about. And you brought up one really exciting one, which is, and this is a little bit of spoiler, so I'm going to throw a little spoiler banner up here. This is going to be full series spoilers for a moment, everybody. So if you're still here, just wave goodbye if you don't want anything spoiled in the books. This is a big spoiler, so walk away now. We're not going to talk in detail about it, but it has to do with Landfear. So there were some spoilers
I'm so shocked.
Look, I know there's some spoilers that came up about 10 years secrets and Landfear, and I was talking to you about this idea of like really for me focusing on shows when I really had put together information, really wanted to cover them doing shows instead of like just guaranteeing every Wednesday, like really bringing it, and you can expect it's not like don't be totally worried out there if I'll still end up doing at least 1, if not 2 shows a month. There'll be at least 3 or 4 shows coming out from the Dusty Wheel every month. So, but I really want to kind of take a step back and look at what is really exciting about the Wheel of Time for me and cover that topic. Landfear is obviously one of them, but I'm saving that Landfear one for Landfear Week because Landfear Week's got to happen. So a Landfear discussion is coming, but I'm not going to preempt it. I want Landfear Week to happen. And so I'm going to save the discussion of the theories around the questions I saw that people still have until then. So
I'm glad you clarified that because initially I thought everyone was going to think you're only going to do Landfear shows now.
Oh,
so
yeah,
that might happen.
That's an interesting idea. I only do Landfear or Landfear adjacent shows now. I love it.
Right.
Let me end this poll. 112 of you voted. Should Trailer Guide on go 24 hours? Thank you for not making that. Like if that would have been like a 90-10, I might have actually considered it. I feel like 58 on the yes is still not enough to go 24 hours. Maybe in the future that'll be a lot. So on us covering the show will allow Matt to research Landfear topics. This is the way. Yes, correct.
Yes,
that is what you're. That's what you're experiencing. Does Landfear Day fall on Valentine's Day or Memorial Day? Love or war? I love that, Miss Sarah James. Yeah, good question. Yes, Light Blinded Fool. There will be non-Landfear weeks. That's very possible. So, and what I mean by me like looking into topics, I probably will be focusing a lot more, I think, on theory-related topics. I know, shocker out there. But if you are interested, if you're like, hey, I really like to see you cover a topic, I'm interested in hearing from you. I'm probably going to save some of our show-related ones until we really start kind of digging back into show news. Yeah. So like the ones that focus on actors and like becoming, I love those episodes, but I'm probably not going to dig into them right now. I think what I'd really like to do is just dig into the books and do some really like geeky book, Matt Theoryland nerd kind of shows. So expect that to be kind of the focus when you see shows that I'm hosting for now. And then every Innkeeper kind of chooses their topics. So my fellow Innkeeper here will be choosing his own topics. So there's not like an Innkeeper list, and we have to follow a certain number of topics. So I'm really interested to see what you're going to do. With this power.
I'm excited too. There's a question about where the location of my inn is.
Yes.
I'm trying to think if we should reveal that today or save that for the actual show.
You should save that for the show.
Yeah, that's what I. Yeah.
I
think so.
I think we're both on. We're on point here. Yeah.
Yeah.
That has to be saved. Yeah.
So watch and find out. Yeah.
Watch and find out. Yeah, there you go. Oliver here's back to the basics for me. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course there's a spreadsheet. Ben and Chiat is asking. There's no spreadsheet. There's a spreadsheet, but does not mean there are layers in the spreadsheet. Yeah,
correct. There are lots of spreadsheets, I would say. So does the position come with a cudgel? This is a great question that we're not going to answer today. But this is a great question, Reese. Let's try to remember this question for later. I like it.
The cudgel of time. Yeah,
that's a good question. Ooh, I've been waffled by both Innkeepers. Yeah, this might get let's be honest. Like everyone that went to WotCon probably had an inkling. Like they didn't realize it. There was like some Taviran magic going on. This was always going to be a thing, right? Like we were clearly circling the Innkeeper, we were making the Innkeeper circle. No one really understood. It was like we were going around, and I think ever since then it was clear that this was going to happen. Like if you went back and kind of like saw the foreshadowing, I would say WotCon was good foreshadowing for this moment.
I think that was probably like when people go back and look at that. Yeah, for sure.
They'll see that was kind of written into this book.
For sure.
Why do I feel like there's so many secrets right now?
Well, I mean, there's always another secret. That is the baseline. So expect that going forward. Yeah.
This is a great question. So Anas, have you gained weight in the last 3.5 years? That's an important question.
I think I definitely, that was like the number one thing I thought of when I got offered the position.
Yeah.
So I think I've come up to the minimum standard for an Innkeeper position. So I think we'll be good there.
Okay, that's important. I feel like it's important. I just want you to know, people have felt like I've become more trustworthy over time.
Okay.
So you have time, but there's a directly proportional trust factor in maybe the weight gain. I don't know. It's a thing.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
I like this. WoW Disco is probably like, what is going on? What is this show even? So WoW Disco, you've missed the discussion with Encyclopedia WoT and the Wheel of Time Wiki all about facts and fiction, and you've joined this final announcement that we're making here, channel change, if you will. It's a big channel announcement where another Innkeeper has joined the Dusty Wheel Show, and now we will be co-hosts of the Dusty Wheel Show for the foreseeable future. So welcome. Welcome to this moment. Wow.
Yeah.
This hurts from a friend, honestly. Never trust Matt. That hurts.
And there's
I want you to understand, Anas, this is going to happen, is people are going to use chat now in ways to hurt you. So that just happens. That's part of the Innkeeper gig, man. So
as long as I get to maybe like only show 30 seconds of a video or something and like not have to vote. If I can do that, I'll be fine. I can live with all the chat.
Oh my
chat
gosh.
Hate,
Yeah, this is you and I should talk about that. Wheel of Time Idol.
Yeah.
Like I see now why you accepted this gig.
I need the perks,
That is a huge perk. It is. I feel like there's definitely a Wheel of Time Idol show coming your way, so I love that. That's Elfwitch said it has Anas has acquired the minimum amount of black T-shirts. Yes.
That was a prerequisite question before I was offered the position. It was like, how many black T-shirts do I have? And I think I don't know what the minimum was, but I had more, so I was offered the position. So yeah,
it's important. You'll continue acquiring them. That just happens.
Yes.
That'll be a natural. It's like you're an innkeeper, you get black T-shirts. That's what happens. This is an interesting question, and I will answer this. This one actually does have an answer. Does Innkeeper on us have his own intro song? No, that is a Dusty Wheel intro song. I'm not saying that we won't make new intro songs out there. That's very possible in the coming year or two that we would go out and find additional ones. But no, there will be an intro song. It will be the Dusty Wheel. We're just both traveling innkeepers in this Dusty Wheel show. So yeah.
What are my thoughts on sharing pizza? Hybrid Havoc. Wow. This is
an interesting
huge
question. Yeah.
This is huge because I think my position on this might have to change. I think ownership of a pizza is determined
by
whatever friends decide. It's fine. It's between friends. It's between friends. It's okay. Well, between friends, it's fine. Anything goes between friends. That's what I'm gonna say. Yeah.
I like Bait and Chat. OMG, I would love to see a reenactment of The Interview. Laugh out loud. Yes, that's an interesting. Well, we'll let you all go. We won't keep you much longer around here. Fellow Innkeeper, thank you very much for joining me here. I think we're going to have a blast. I'm going to say this. It's just the idea that came to me is, in some part, I think you're doing the light's work as an innkeeper. Is what I'm saying. So thank you very much for thank you very much for joining us. Really, this is gonna be a lot of fun. We're gonna do some fun things out there, everybody. We'll figure out some really fun ways for us to collaborate. And but yeah, count on it. Every fourth Wednesday here at the Dusty Wheel, my fellow innkeeper will be hosting the Dusty Wheel show, and other times here in the future, expect to see us kind of pass that cudgel back and forth. Who has the cudgel, if you will, of time here at the Dusty Wheel show?
Right. Yeah. No, thank you. And again, I am super excited. So I'm just looking forward to next Wednesday now.
Yeah, me too. I can't wait to see it. Well, with that being said, thank you everybody for showing up today. Thank you for answering the polls and for jumping in chat and sticking around for what I believe is the biggest announcement here we've done for a channel announcement in a very long time. Can't wait to see what this brings in 2023. And with that thought, as we say around here at the Dusty Wheel, good evening and smash to black. You went right to kill it. Look at you, you're all ready. You're just done. I mean, this is like, this is
really well. And now I'm like, great, my turn?
And if you don't like that and you want to say, well, Robert Jordan could have made the two rivers all white. He could have, but he didn't.
Just complimented me on my dress, and as you can clearly see, I'm not white.
I see Nakomi as something along the lines of a Shida Haran analog.
It does make sense why it outlasted the breaking.
Yeah.
See, this is why I have Therese in the show, because she's going to correct everything that.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Dusty Wheel Show. What? Meme Off Challenge! Yay!
Carol's like baby face mounted on like a huge body. So like all of a sudden,
this is not just a traditional fantasy, right? There are sci-fi elements. And just a moment ago, Rafe tweeted something. So let me get my guest in here with me, and probably I would say put in 70-80% of the work. I got to be over the shoulder and be like, no. You went right to kill it. Look at you, you're all ready. You're just done. I mean, this is like this is
really well.
scenes.
And now I'm like, great, my turn.